right, so welcome everybody. Welcome to Hemispheres. My name is Lily Yu. I am Ancient Art. I will be your host this evening. I am also the curator for this very special exhibition and sale brought to you by BG Gallery in Santa Monica, California, United States. Hemispheres is a virtual journey across the globe to meet 3 artists in 3 countries across 3 time zones with 3 works each. We will be doing a COVID-free travel trip with 0 jet lag. This whole adventure started just a few weeks ago when Om and I, who is so generous with his ear. I did not do this alone. I want to start by thanking. I want to thank the artists who are involved, the artists who were very willing to be open to this new reality. And I'd like to thank Om, who listens to all my ideas, good and bad, and gives artists, large and small, a platform to share their stories. I'd also like to thank his brilliant staff who tirelessly put all of this together. Behind the scenes, we see you, Asha, Izzy, Estefania, Caroline, Alex, and Laura, who without their help, this would not happen. But most of all, I want to thank you, the participants, for being here today. Without you, all the art lovers, this would not happen. We do this for you, the art lovers. Art is all about sharing, and embodies, you being here tonight embodies the greatest power of art, which is bringing people together and connecting people and sharing our ideas, sharing our uniqueness, sharing our creativity of the human spirit. And without sharing, there is no art. So thank you. Tonight's format is going to be very fast paced. Each artist will have a time to present. And during their presentations, something exciting is going to happen. You will have the opportunity to make instant purchases. If there's something that you like, QR codes are going to pop up on the screen, and with the aid of your camera on your iPhone, you can simply take a picture of the QR code, and that item, that work of art, will land into your shopping cart, and you can proceed with your purchase. If you have any questions during the program, just put your questions down in the little chat box. Laura will be standing by. Laura, are you there, Laura?
Yes.
Okay, Laura will be standing by at Mission Control, and she's in charge of tech if you have any tech questions. If you have any questions about the art, Om, are you there? Give us a wave hello.
Yes, hi.
Okay. Om is the owner of the gallery at BG, and he's standing by to answer any questions about the artwork. And Laura will be collecting, like shipping and things like that, logistical things. Questions about for the artist specifically, Laura will save those. Please put them into the box. And at the very end, there will be a short Q&A where you get to talk to the artist directly. Special for tonight, for all the participants, as a great thank you for being here, we are giving everyone a $500 gift certificate towards a purchase of $1,000 or more. So that gift certificate is good for 24 hours following this recording of this event, and the exhibition will continue for 1 month from today. In the chat, Laura's putting that information in there for you. You would simply go to bggalleryshop.com to be able to see the works that are offered tonight, if tonight you don't decide to make that purchase. And this exhibit will close on November the 15th, 1 month from today. So with that, let me tell you a little bit about how this is going to go. We are going to buckle up and take off. And the first place we're going to go to is going to be Santa Monica, California, where Om is waiting in his gallery to show you the very first piece by Jim Holyoak. And from there, we'll take off to Canada. So here we go.
Very interesting how they do it. She talked about this.
All right.
Yes, Canada.
We'll save that for a moment as we make our way to Santa Monica. Om, where are you?
I am here. Can you happen to see from my camera? Yes. Okay, here we are in BG Gallery, Bergmont Station, Santa Monica. And this is yes, so I'm not sure if my sound is on, but this is
So BG Gallery is located in the famed Bergamont Station Art Complex, which originally was a train station in Santa Monica. Today it serves as a metro stop and hosts over 30 galleries and arts nonprofits. We're looking inside the gallery space now, and there's Om. Welcome everybody to BG. Oh, he's showing us the outside of the train station. They converted all the warehouses into gallery spaces. Bergamot Station is home to not only traditional artworks, but also contemporary. He's taking us outside for a little look-see. It's a real treat to go there. I love to bring all my clients to Bergamot Station. They have a very robust program there. And this is where I make many new art discoveries. Here we are. And Om, will you tell us about this work by Jim Holyoak?
Yes. I'll give you this lady, yes. Can you hear me now on this computer?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. It wasn't working on the other one, so I'll just walk with this one.
Sure, we're with you.
This is a lovely piece by Jim Holyoak from his studies in China. This is Sasquatch in China. So Jim went and studied under a master in mainland China. He didn't speak Chinese and his master didn't speak English, so they had a scroll of just 10 words that they could say to one another. And it was an intense program, I think something like 16-hour days. And so it resulted in this beautiful series of East meets West. And it's done on rice paper. I love the footsteps.
Beautiful, very magical and mysterious. Very nice, thank you.
My
I think we have
pleasure.
a plane to catch, everybody. And we will come back to Sasquatch in China in a little bit. Hang on to your seats, here we go. So Jim Holyoak lives in British Columbia, Canada, which is on the western coast of Northern America. He spends his time part-time in Kootenay, British Columbia, and traveling the world. He's traveled to over 30 countries, wandering about the world with his sketchbook for inspirations, taking in what he considers the continuous landscape of the world. And we are going to Vancouver, where he lives on a little island off the coast of Vancouver between the mainland and Vancouver Island. It's called Salt Spring Island in British Columbia. So here we go. Up and away to Canada. Oh, these are just some of the sights that you might see from your airplane. You can see that there is lots to get inspiration from, not only from the landscape and the habitat, but the creatures that live in the habitat. Here's Jim making a sketch from where he's living. I said that he lives on an island, Salt Spring Island. We're on our way there now. Another glimpse of what he does. He makes monumental installations as well as very small personal size works. This is a set called Book of 19 Nocturnes. And here we are in his studio, and let's meet Jim. Jim, where are you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Holyoak. I'm a drawer and ink painter and writer based here on the Pacific coast of Canada. Right now, I'm on Salt Spring Island, which is a little island in between Vancouver Island and the mainland near the city of Vancouver. And I live part-time out here and part-time in the Kootenay region of interior British Columbia up in the mountains. So it's just turned autumn here and it's gotten very cold, and already it's snowing in the place where I'll be living through the winter. So it's interesting for me to see some of you dressed in shorts. That must feel good. Throughout my adulthood, I've had kind of a migratory life, living a lot in Montreal, but that's been sort of my base to travel all over the place, including Los Angeles, where I met and have been working with him now for many years. I did my master's degree at Concordia University in Montreal. And as mentioned, I spent 2 months studying 7 days a week with a master ink painter named Sunling Xiang in Yangzhou, China, near Guilin in the Guangxi province. So my practice is based between large-scale room-size drawing installations that are sometimes in collaboration with other artists and sometimes even the public, and also ink painting, lots of graphite and ink drawings, and bookworks. So I'll briefly show you a few of those as we wander around my studio. So the studio here is named Pterodactyl Studio, where in former times I would have had studio visits, but I've been more or less just me and my girlfriend here at the studio for the last 6 months. We were trekking for 27 days in Nepal on our way to an artist residency when COVID struck Nepal, and we were repatriated back to North America. Anyways, that's another story. I'm gonna flip my camera and give you a little tour of Pterodactyl Studio, which is also called the Airy Ghost Boat Studio, because it was once a housing space for a boat. Now it's closed in and there's no boat, but it makes an excellent drawing space. I'm really lucky to be able to hide out here on occasion. So I have thousands of drawings. I've been drawing my entire life. This is just a few of them up on the walls here. I've always been really interested in animals, including animals that don't exist anymore, and animals that are close to extinction, and animals that never existed, like monsters. And along with these animals, I've been really interested in imaginary places and parallel worlds. So my drawing practice is often mixed up between walking and trekking outside, where I make sketches and gather ideas, and later bring these photos, notes, and sketches back home. Over here is a series of 19 books. This took me over 17 years to make. And these books were just this largest size possible to fit into my backpack. And they all add up into a 19-volume story about a woman made of wood who wakes up in a world where the sun never rises and travels around having conversations with monsters and other kinds of creatures. That's I guess a pretty good studio tour. There are two main works that I'm going to be talking about today, and which are for purchase. I'm going to begin with this one, which is a print called Foreigner. This is a large-scale intaglio etching. It was the biggest etching that could fit on the printing press. So it's 22 by 32 inches, which is quite large for an etching, as you can see. And it's also one of the only prints or etchings I've ever made. I work almost exclusively in original drawings, but I had an opportunity to work with a Korean printmaker who is a master printer and helped me with the process. So I did all of the drawing with a needle on the copper plate, while she did the technical stuff of pulling the prints. The title Foreigner and the image here actually was inspired by a book of poems written by my dad called Foreigner. I've now illustrated a couple of my dad's books. He's a poet who lives in Los Angeles. And this book, Foreigner, well, the poem after which the book is titled is about being a stranger in a strange land and feeling like an awkward, gangling bird who doesn't quite belong and is there for a little while before flying onwards to a different place. In this etching, I worked really hard to create a feeling of an ink painting within an intaglio etching. If you come up really close and look, you can see that the bridge is transforming into a dragon or a serpent-like creature in the water on which the bird is perched. The bird is based on a great blue heron, which is a common large bird out here on the Pacific Northwestern coast. Yeah, so that's one of the works. And the other works is actually a pair of works which are meant to accompany one another to be one work, kind of like an inhabitant and a habitat. The first one is called Paper Gargoyle. This drawing is cut out, it's a stenciled out work. And on the reverse side, it's stained with ink. And it's meant to be hung in a window. So I was inspired by the decoy hawks that people put into windows to prevent birds from striking the windows. And I've been making my own. And I find that it really works well. So here at Salt Spring Island, I've got pterodactyls and owls and all kinds of creatures cut out and put into the windows. And it really works. Wherever a bird has struck the window, if I put one of these creatures in, it won't be hit anymore. It won't hit the window anymore. This drawing will be laminated with acid-free UV laminate. So it will remain a cutout work that is flexible and movable. So you can put it on a window, and if you change your mind and want to put it somewhere else, you can. The face of the creature, it was inspired by one of my favorite artists, Francisco Goya, who made a drawing of a cat, which I kind of looked at as a reference. And his body is, of course, based on a bat. So two of my favorite nocturnal creatures. This work that comes with it It's called Whatever Direction You Go. And it is based, well, it is a drawing that I made while riding a train across Norway. Looking out the windows at the passing mountains from Oslo to Bergen, this one mountain caught my eyes, partly because I'm always looking for landscapes that are anthropomorphic, that already look partly human or animal or bodily. So thinking of my body as a landscape on which small creatures may or may not live, and then the earth itself as a body on which we are the little creatures that the earth may or may not know that or care that we're here. While I was making this drawing, looking out the window, I was listening to an audiobook called Smile at Fear by a Tibetan Buddhist named Chongyam Trungpa. So on the back of the drawing, I was writing notes about what I was listening to, which says basically, fearlessly kind, available to others and touched by others, vulnerable, considerate of others, gentleness and constant loneliness, sadness and joy, balance and steering my mind to wherever, in any direction I want to go, whatever I'd like to explore and perceive. So that's just a note. It's on the back of the drawing. Yeah, so I think that I'm ready now to segue back to Lily. Lily, are you there? Can you join me?
I am here. I am here. Jim, I'm fascinated how you have a very Eastern way of thinking about mountains. A Western thought about mountains is that they are permanent. They're monumental and permanent, and they do not change. But perhaps, coming from a study in China, or before that, I don't know, you adopted this very Eastern way of thinking that the landscape is continually transforming and that it's alive. And I love seeing that in your works, and it feels like everything comes alive. I also know that you've traveled to over 30 countries in the world, including Tibet and Nepal and Estonia. I can't help but wonder where you want to go next, why, and what you hope to find and do there.
Well, thanks, Lily. I have always been really interested in mountains, and the area of Canada that I grew up in is a mountainous area. And I did a ton of snowboarding and hiking, so walking all over the place. And I've often wondered why it is that we name a mountain. For instance, I was snowboarding at Mount Baker, and yet we don't name waves and we don't name clouds. And I figure that it's because of human time scales, where we live about 80 years. And over 80 years, the mountains aren't likely to change very much, while clouds and waves change moment to moment, but are otherwise just as unique as mountains. And it is, I've been learning a lot about dinosaurs and a deep time, and that in that scale, mountains are actually waves and clouds that change, grow, disappear, just like everything else. To answer your question about where I'm planning to go or looking forward to going, I'm actually so excited to be going back to the Kootenays, where I will be getting into backcountry snowboarding this winter. So a funny thing about the mountains and snowboarding is that you're kind of drawing big, long lines on a big white page. And I'm looking forward to being out there during this time period. But my travels have been cut short. So another reason why I'm really excited to be doing this Hemispheres project with you all. When I'm allowed to travel outside of Canada again, and when it's safe to do so, I would really like to go back to Nepal, where I was planning to begin an artist residency before I was evacuated and repatriated. I didn't know that Nepal had only had one case of COVID while I was beginning the hike. And when I came down, it had changed and gone into lockdown, and all my plans have disappeared. Beyond that, I'm really interested in the Haida on the west coast of Canada. So that's just south of Alaska on the Pacific, in the Pacific Ocean. And I'm interested in that for, again, it's an archipelago where every island is a little different, and it's full of temperate rainforests, which are one of my favorite places to be walking and coming up with drawings and stories.
Wow. Well, hopefully we'll be able to follow you to some of these places. I'd love for you to take us to Nepal and perhaps a future episode of Hemispheres and see what you're doing. And, you know, thanks for taking us off the beaten path to Salt Spring Island on the shores of Canada. So let's review the pieces that we took a look at of Jim Holyoak's. And here we go. This was the very first piece called Foreigner. And this is a intaglio etching that's 22 by 32 inches. This is Jim's very ambitious first attempt at and very successful etching process. We are selling this piece for only $500. It is unique. This is a special price just for this particular exhibition. You will not find this or any of the other works that we're offering tonight in the gallery. If you are interested in this work of art, you just take a picture of the scan code and you will be automatically ushered through the purchase process. And this is our second work today. This is a combination of works by Jim Holyoak. It's the paper gargoyle and the watercolor graphite and ink drawing called Whatever Direction You Go. You get both of these fine works of art. The paper gargoyle is your personal protector, and you can bring your gargoyle with you on your own travels and place them in your window so that you are always safe wherever you are. If you'd like to purchase this piece, just take a picture of the scan code and we'd be happy to help you. And this is our third and final piece that we'll be offering tonight, also by Jim Holyoak. It's an ink on rice paper that is 33 by 23 and a half inches. This is the work that we were shown at the BG Gallery. We are selling this work for $2,300. Now, I want to remind you for any of these pieces, you do have your $500 gift certificate that is valid for 24 hours during this event and for 24 hours following the event. So go ahead and scan. Excellent. And I think we have another plane to catch. Everyone back to the airport, please. Pack your bags. And speaking of China, Hadiya Finley is waiting for us in China. And she lives in the southern part of China called Guangzhou. It's a major port city. It's a very modern city. It's known for its very tall buildings and modern architecture alongside very traditional Chinese culture. She lives there with her family. This is her son, her daughter, and she's surrounded by a family. It turns out it's a wonderful place to live for an American artist. There is plenty of more public art in China than here. It's very supported by the government for arts. It's a bustling city with lots of culture to see. This is Hadiya working in her studio, formerly in the foundry that she works with. And these are images of some of her installations around Guangzhou and some of my personal favorites. And we are just landing now. If you get ready to meet Hadiya. And here she is. There she is. Hi, Hadiya. Hadiya, can you turn on your microphone for us? You look great, but we can't hear you.
Okay.
Laura, I think she got muted again, if you don't mind unmuting her.
I'm trying to unmute her. Oh, you're mute, Hadiya. See? Can you unmute yourself? I'm unmuting her. See? There you go. No.
A little turbulence here, everybody.
There you go. Talk. There you go.
We're in good hands. Okay.
Hello. Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. I'm here in my studio, apartment studio in Guangzhou, which is in southern China. I haven't been to Hong Kong since I came back this time because of the rioting in Hong Kong. But it's very close. We often would go there, but not now. I came back here just last year and got stuck here during the pandemic. And I've been here now. And now I'm afraid to go back to the US because here is nice. No more COVID. It's all taken care of here. They had 12 cases last week in Qingdao, and they tested everybody in the city, all 9,000 people. So very, very serious here. So I feel comfortable here working, and I can do my work here. What my work is primarily based on the female figure and is three-dimensional, is sculptural. And because I have access to foundry here, I like to work use the bronze and take advantage of the foundry here. The foundry is very reasonably priced, and they do a lot of work for me. So because I'm in a small space right now, I have had larger spaces and been able to work on the picture you showed me was in a bigger space. But now I'm in a small space, so I'm pretty well concentrating on small bronze pieces, wax for bronze pieces. So you see some of the pieces that I've been doing over the years here of these figures. And what I do is I tend to sculpt in clay, and the foundry will make a mold for me. And I'll show you here. This is an example of one of the molds they've made for me. They do a nice job. And it's a silicone mold. So you can see the mold. And I can put wax in the mold, and then I can resculpt it, and I can create many pieces from the one piece. So I have a tendency not to make large additions, but to make variations from one piece of sculpture. So I like to invent and to combine the sculpture or the clay or the wax piece with other things to make something different. Mechanical, I've gotten more into making mechanical pieces and using wood, and I'm now venturing into glass and other things when I go back to the States. So I'm making bronze pieces to combine with the glass and with the wood when I go back home. So I'll have those pieces to use in combinations. So I can show you where I'm working. Where I'm working in my little room here. This is my little smelly wax baking room. This is just need to work on this small table and use these small pieces to make a wax. I have heat tools that work with the heat, and I'll be going to the foundry pretty soon to have them cast into bronze. So I'll show you. I'll show you the three pieces. This ceiling. Sorry. This piece is called the float, and it was actually inspired by a shuttle from an antique shuttle from a loom that became the boat, and it was cast into the wax with the wax figure, and the oars became the arms. This piece. And this, we did it in an edition of 3, because I had three of these shuttles. And then this piece, I call it Sightseeing in Istanbul, because on a trip I got to go to Istanbul because my son won a ticket to Istanbul and gave it to me. So I got to go to Istanbul, and when I went to look for Orhan Pamuk's Museum of Memory, I found these thrift stores or antique shops, and I found a shoe last for a child's shoe, and I bought it there. And that's why I inspired this piece. This is actually not the original shoe. The original shoe last belongs now to a friend, but I have made a couple of more of them similar. So this piece is Sightseeing in Istanbul. And then we have these small pieces that I have done, but this is the largest. This is I have done some like this. It's called I Am Tree. The birds and the figure. Some of them get wings and become angels. This one is called Bird in the Hand. And this one is entwined. these pieces have all been done over the last few years. While I've been coming here back and forth. So that's mainly my presentation. Lily?
Thank you so much, Hadiya. I'd like to stay at your house all day if we could. I feel like we're in really good company with your beautiful sculptures and you, but we'll say goodbye with just one question. I'm wondering what it's like to be an American living in China and how living in China has influenced your art.
Well, for me, it's probably different than a lot of other expats because my son married a Chinese woman, and my daughter-in-law is the daughter of a very prominent Chinese doctor. And so her family, and you saw the family I showed you, he was in the picture. So we get to do things with her family, which, you know, many of my expat friends that I have here, they don't have that connection that I have. So and I spend a lot of time with my grandchildren, and that makes it very different. We do things that very Chinese things. But there are very many times that I'm spending and I don't understand anything that's going on either.
I have moments like that too, even here in America. So. Right. But if I went to China, I don't know that I would feel any different either. I would still feel out of sorts, I'm very sure, at many times. So we're going to leave you now, but we'll see you back at the end of the show. Thank you so much, Hadiya. For everybody, I'm going to review the artworks that she shared with us today. Oops. Oh, a little turbulence right here. Hang on.
Click on the keynote.
Let me share it. I have it.
Here we go.
Oh, there you go.
The very first piece I'd like to share with you or review is Hadiya Finley's I Am Tree. This was the largest standing figure. These are all made in bronze. This work was also a very small edition, as all of her works are. We're starting this piece at only $500. And if you'd like to test our QR code scan technology, go ahead and take a picture of that code. This is our second work tonight, Hadiya Finley's Afloat. This is 18 by 10 by 4 inches. It was an edition of 3 only. We are selling this work for $1,500. Again, if you'd like to visit any of these pieces again, they will be at the BG Gallery shop website. And that URL and also the information about it will be given to you at the end of the show. And our third and final piece being offered tonight is Hadiya Finley's Sightseeing in Istanbul. This is a bronze. It's 11 by 8 by 14 inches. And this will be $1,800. Aside from the first that she made for a friend, this was an edition of 3. Each piece is from a variable edition, as the antique shoe last is different for each piece. These are approximate dimensions, I should note. If you'd like to have a little piece of Istanbul in your home, this is a beautiful work to have. I find that these figures, to me, represent beauty and wisdom and whimsy. I see them as guides for travel, and interestingly, her figures are always going places. So you can go places too. Go ahead and scan if you'd like to purchase this. And thank you so much. I think we're ready to take off once again. We have Kahl Monticone waiting for us in Australia. So if you hang on to your seats, here we go. Again, off the beaten track here, Kahl in Queensland, Brisbane. That's in the southeast side of Australia. It's known for its sunny skies and sunshine, and lots of young energy. Very much like Kahl. Kahl is actually a musician by training. This is a shot near his home. You can see those beautiful, brilliant skies. Kahl is a composer, and he likes to spend his days connecting with nature. A little bit more of those beautiful skies. This one is actually above his studio. And he's joined there by Quincy, his little new pup. You'll notice Kahl has a great sense of humor. And I think we're just about there. This is his backyard, and I think he's waiting for us inside. And there he is. Come and join us and meet Kahl, everyone.
Hello. Hi, my name's Kahl Monticone. I live in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, and I'm here in the suburb of West End. I'm a musician and visual artist with a strong focus on mixed media works on paper. I use watercolor, gouache, and acrylic paint. For me, the crossover between music and painting comes down to simply listening. I would consider music in many ways to be the art of listening, and listening closely or deep listening does require a certain kind of inner silence, perhaps similar to a meditation. And it's an inner silence I find useful to tap into when making these works on paper. Let's see some and have a look around. So the space that we're in now, well, this is an old house. This house dates back to the late 19th century. At one stage, this area here would have been a veranda, which explains these kind of funny indoor windows. It was renovated at some stage to be turned into a kitchen. And another space here, which I've chosen to use as a little studio to make my work. It gets a really nice light most of the year. Have a little look outside. This is my backyard. These are the classic Australian blue skies. Very brown grass at the moment. We've been getting a lot of sun. A couple of palm trees in the background there. And back into the studio space. And yes, this is where I make all my work. I think I'll come and show you my first piece now. It might just take a quick moment to set up the shot here. And I'll do a quick zoom in. Okay, leave it like that. Oops. The title of my first piece I'd like to show today is The Blue, Blue Third. My process here is based on a specific grid with formal compositional considerations, but it's also very intuitive, and also it feels somehow collaborative. Even though I'm working on my own, I like to feel as though I am collaborating, first with the materials themselves, then with the image as it begins to emerge. And again, listening is actually key here. I do feel like I'm listening to what the image wants and responding to that. And there's always a bit of a push and pull here, or call and response, a kind of dance where you might not really know what's going on. And I like that, not ever having too much control, but leaving room for incidents that can't be planned. I'll bring you over to the next piece now. Might just need a moment to set up that shot again. The title of my second piece, which is actually a set of 12 works, is called Warm and Porous. I chose this title to somehow bring the work back to the body, particularly the word porous, which implies an openness, and even a movement between interior and exterior, which for me has a nice philosophical or metaphysical quality, as in the human experience, or any life form probably, could be seen as having an interior experience and an exterior experience. And where the two meet and merge and participate with each other is probably where things are most interesting, where the reality is, or realities, always existing in participation with one another. I also like to think of the paper as having a porous quality that I like to acknowledge, just the way it receives the paint. And the warmth is just like a gentle glow. When the work has that, I'm most happy, warm and porous. I'll just go and fetch the third work. And I'll try a little zoom in again. My third piece, which is a suite of 24 works on paper, is titled Field Harmonics. The field might refer to the surface of the paper and the mapping of its space, and maybe even the color field painters that I admire and resonate with. And harmonics in music refer to a fundamental frequency in a note or tone, and somehow getting to that elemental foundation visually is largely what these works are about. My gestural responses will often simply come down to personal discernment, which I also think of as a kind of process of filtration. That is, filtering out what's not necessary, not important, and not really needed, and just having things be really reduced to their essence, to see what is important, or has value, or has meaning. And in a funny way, I do sometimes think of these works as byproducts of that process. That it's somehow not so much my job to make these artworks, but rather to foster the conditions of their emergence. The analogy I sometimes use to describe this is the snail, that by simply going about its business of daily life, it leaves a sparkling trail of slime. And I like the idea of these works being like my own trail of slime as I go about things. And I wanted to thank you for looking at these. These pictures are now collaborating with the viewer, which is you. So please consider yourselves participating in making meaning. I should quickly mention that every one of the images we've seen today has a piece of my recorded guitar music that accompanies it. And I would love for you to hear that too. Couple more here. So that set was the field harmonics. Thank you again, and I think we might go back to Lily.
Oh, thank you so much, Colin. And believe me, we're all very happy to participate, and we very much are enjoying the beauty of your snail trail, as you put it. I have a lot of questions, but I think we only have time for one. And so I'm going to ask you this question and ask if you might respond in an unusual way. As a musician, if you might answer my question in music. Are you okay to do that?
We can do that.
Okay. All right. So Kahl, my question is, the number 6 is very important in your works of art. Would you tell us in music why that is? And what the number 6 means to you? Wow. Thank you. Thank you. For those of us who don't speak music, could you try a translation for us in words?
Oh, the number 6. That's a tricky one because it relates to that grid that I think I mentioned earlier, and how I did come up with a grid that was based on the golden mean, the golden ratio, but I sort of wanted to personalize it a little bit. And it took some time, but what I ended up with was a number that just had a lot of 6s in it, and
Oh, he's leaving us in suspense. He was just
then
about to
that's.
explain. Okay, here we go. We lost you for a moment.
I know. I'm sorry. Something's going on.
Okay. Could you just repeat about the number 6 and its significance to you? That you came up with a variation of the golden mean, a
That's
personal
right.
variation of your own that involved the number 6.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I wanted to make a grid that I could use as a starting point, something where when I'd first begin a work, there'd be a substructure there that I could just tap into immediately. And yeah, as I was coming up with this grid, the number 6 kept popping up. It kept reoccurring in a number of the divisions that I was making. And yeah, I just really had to embrace the number 6. It kept coming up, and it became an important part of just the starting process of pretty much all of these works.
So there's an underlying structure to each of the abstract paintings that you create.
Yeah, there's a grid. Yep.
And then each work is unique because you make a variation based on measurements of that grid.
Yeah, definitely.
That's fascinating.
And there's also a fair degree of improvisation that also goes along with that.
That marries well with your music. Thank you, Kahl. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Well, so let's take a look, and we're going to review the works that Kahl shared with us. Here we go. Oops. One more turbulence. I hope you're all buckled in. And here we go to the first piece. This beautiful work of art is called the Blue Blue Third. And based on Kahl's explanation, I think this is based on the rule of thirds. This piece we're starting at $500 tonight. And the second work is actually a set. There's a set of 12 mixed media works. This set is called Warm and Porous. Approximately 11.5 by 13.5 inches. The complete set is $2,400.
And includes musical composition for each.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes, yes. We didn't put that in the description, but each set tonight, starting with the Blue Blue Third, includes a original music composition by Kahl Monticone. And this piece includes a USB stick that has 12 original compositions by Kahl Monticone on a USB stick. And his third selection, which is a set of 24 original mixed media works, also includes 24 original compositions by Kahl Monticone to accompany the work. This set is slightly smaller. It's approximately 9.5 by 11 inches. It includes 24 works of art and is $4,200. So go ahead and scan if you'd like to purchase this piece. And I wanted to offer another work just for our viewers who are watching tonight. There is a set of 6 available as well. So if you're interested in the set of 6, then please put your name into the chat box and let us know so that we can get in touch with you with more information. And thank you so much. I really hope that you enjoyed that presentation by each of the artists. And we now have time for a short Q&A. So if you put any questions into the chat, I think Laura has collected those. Laura.
Yes, we have just one from Heatherlow, if that's how I pronounce it. I'm not sure. But this one is for Hadi, so she wants to ask if are the figures well those shapes, like the shoe and shadow, or the entire piece is in wax. So I also gonna put it in the chat again for her, just in case.
Well, I was asking if you, when you find those pieces like the foot or the shoe and the loom piece, do you make it into wax also with the figure?
I make the piece maybe first in clay or maybe directly in wax.
Are those other pieces, the found pieces, welded in later, welded onto the figure?
Oh, yeah, sometimes, or sometimes they're glued, or if they're wood, then they're might be glued or set in.
Oh, okay.
It just depends on
I was trying to see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I love the one with the
but
wheels.
if they're done in the foundry, they weld them for me.
Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't see how they were attached. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones in the foundry, they're all welded.
Oh, thank you so much for your question.
Some of the pieces are kind of screwed together. It just depends on the piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for your question. And thank you, Hadiya. Someone had asked me a question I'd like to share. And this is about Kahl. Kahl, the question that I was asked is that most songs have a beginning, a middle, and an end. this person was a musician. Like a song would have a beginning, middle, and end. And they asked, does a painting work the same way for you?
It's an interesting question. It does feel like that when you're making the work, when you're starting out, it feels like the process would imply that you're starting somewhere, and then when you're finished, that would be the end. But then when it is finished, does it have I guess some paintings you could say have a narrative that you could look into and sort of read them as starting somewhere, telling a story, and then perhaps finishing. But in a lot of ways, I don't think my work has that. It's much more immediate, and it's just kind of there, and there's no real start, beginning, or end. It's start, middle, or end. It's all at once, and it's all of the time.
I think it's very interesting though that you've put your paintings in sets, and then perhaps they do have a start, a middle, and an ending as a set.
Yeah, well, I do. What I do like is that having them in a large, putting them into sets the way we've done now, you can, because they will work individually. If you just want to put one up on your wall, that would be fine and it would look really good. But then you then have that option of putting something next to it and seeing how they speak to each other. Or you could put a third up or a fourth, or you could put up 9 like I've got behind me here, or you could put up 24. And yeah, there's all these little different relationships that essentially you can make yourself. It's a bit of a choose your own adventure going on there. So,
I like that very much. I like that very much, and thank you, Paul, for sharing. You're definitely not in the guidebook, so it's a special treat that we get to come to you today. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
And Jim, I have a question for you too that somebody sent in a private chat to me. I thought this one was really interesting. They said that your work is very recognizable. Once you see it, you always recognize it. And they thought that it might be because of you only use a single medium, which is ink, and want to know why ink. Why do you choose ink? Oh wait, we can't hear you. You gotta
Unmute. Oh,
Good.
how's
Thank
that?
you. Yeah. So why?
Okay.
The question is why ink?
Well, I don't have anything against using colors. I like color. I see in color, but a part of it is that there's a few reasons. One of them is that I've always been interested in changing perception, especially to a different type of creature, for instance, night vision, seeing the world tonally rather than in color. And so it's about looking at contrast rather than, or tonal contrast rather than color contrast. So I think that it carries different metaphorical content. While red might be love or fire, and green is plants, and blue is the sky or the ocean, black, white, and gray imply nighttime, snow, and fog, presence and absence, and light and dark, and oppositions of yes and no. And those, I think, are the philosophical interests that are important to me. And then I actually just kind of like working in grayscale. I don't really know why, but my little brother also only likes drawing in black and white. He doesn't like using color. And I've kind of felt that way my whole life. I sometimes use a little bit of purple or blue to change the temperature of the ink to make it colder or warmer. But mostly it's ink and graphite is the only thing I use. Did that answer your question?
More than. Well,
okay.
actually, I have more questions, but we're going to have to say that for
Okay.
another episode. We are at the end of our trip, and it is time to return home, everybody. We hope that you have a very, very safe travel. wherever you are headed to next, we hope you'll be headed back to more of our events here with BG Gallery and myself. If you are interested in any of these works or would like to share them, you can find them at bggalleryshop.com. I would like to remind you that your gift certificates can be used for the next 24 hours. And this exhibition will be online and online only for the next month, ending on November 15th. If you have any questions, please contact us through the gallery, and you will be sent a survey following the show to give us feedback. We love feedback, and we'd love to know what we can do for you, how we can do things better, and what you're looking forward to see more of. So please look for that email and send us information and any questions that you might have about anything that you saw today or anything that you might be looking for. So thank you for joining our program, Hemispheres. My name is Lily Yu, Agent Art. And remember, art is an adventure. Never stop exploring. Thank you.